Welcome to BTV News Hour. I'm Angelina Mambo and it's Monday, the 2nd of May 2016. Here are our top stories. United Kingdom, the UK Parliament moves motion for the recognition of an independent state of Biafra. Media blockade, Buhari's weapon against Biafrans and his reasons. The world watches in silence while another genocide against Biafrans begins. The UK Parliament has moved a motion for the independent state of Biafra and recognizes the call for the independence of territories that constituted the Biafran Republic. Acknowledges the Biafran issue could be improved with the cooperation of the Nigerian government by offering a referendum, and urges the Foreign and Commonwealth Office to use its diplomatical strength to assist in the resolution of this matter. The UK Parliament motion for an independent Biafra reads as following. Whereas the achievement of a just and lasting peace between Nigeria and Biafra is over half-century one of the main concerns of the international community, especially with the arrest of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, a British broadcaster. Whereas direct peace talks between the parties are stalled, the UK and EU have asked the parties to work to encourage the establishment of a climate of confidence necessary to ensure meaningful negotiation, to refrain from actions that undermine the credibility of the process and avoid provocations. Whereas the UK Parliament and the European Union has confirmed on several occasions their support for the two-state solution based on the 1967-1970 borders, which provides a Biafran independent state with Enugu as capital and a democratic state of Biafra, territorially continuous and capable of independent existence, and called for the resumption of direct peace talks between Biafra and the Nigerian government. Whereas its resolution, the UK Parliament stressed that the only way to reach a just and lasting peace between Nigeria and Biafra is to resort to peaceful and non-violent means. He has asked that the conditions are created for the resumption of talks direct peace between the two parties. He argued in this regard the Biafran application to become a non-observer member of the United Nations, considering it as an important step in order to give greater visibility, strength and efficiency to the demands of Biafra, and has called on the EU and the international community in this regard to reach an agreement. Given the motions on the recognition of the state of Biafra approved by the UK and EU Parliament, the UK Parliament accepts the principle, the recognition of the Biafra state and the two-state solution, and believe that this should go hand in hand with the development of the peace talks which it is advancing. The UK Parliament supports the effort of the Prime Minister David Cameron and the indigenous people of Biafra, and once again underlines the importance of consolidating the authority of the Biafran Consensus Government and its administration. The British Parliament urged the UN and EU to continue to provide support and assistance to strengthen institutional capacities of Biafra. The Parliament expresses its grave concern about the growing tension and the escalation of violence in the region of Biafra by the Nigerian military and Hausa Fulani herdsmen under the command of the current Nigerian President, Muhammadu Buhari. UK condemns in the strongest term all acts of terrorism and violence from Nigeria against the innocent Biafra civilians, and expresses its condolences to the families of victims of Biafra. He warns about the risk of a further escalation of violence involving the sacred places, which could transform the Nigeria-Biafran conflict into a religious conflict. It calls on the political leaders of all parties to work together with actions visible to a calming of the situation and stress that the only way to reach a suitable solution and the just and lasting peace between Nigeria and Biafra is to use non-violent means and compliance with international human rights standards and international humanitarian law. It calls on all parties to refrain from actions that with incitement, provocation, extensive use of force, or retaliation could worsen the situation. The Parliament stresses the need for a comprehensive peace, which puts an end to all claims and that meets the legitimate aspirations of both parties, including those of the Nigerian security and those of Biafran sovereignty. It emphasized that the only possible solution to the conflict is the coexistence of two different and separate states, Nigeria and Biafra. This Parliament undertakes to send the text of this motion to the Embassy of Nigeria in the UK and the headquarters of the authority delegation of Biafra in the UK. The African Hitler, Muhammadu Buhari, mandated the Department of State Services, DSS, and the Federal Ministry of Information to ensure that all newspapers, editors, radio and TV stations in Nigeria boycott news and events about Biafra. This is to enable Muhammadu Buhari and his Islamic government to mislead and misinform the populace and all those who still believe in one Nigeria, as well as the international communities. This order came immediately after the massacre of Biafrans in Enugu on Monday, 25th of April 2016, by Buhari's kinsmen, the Fulani herdsmen, Janjaweed. Hitler Muhammadu Buhari knows that it is only on Biafran newsstand that absolute truth can be found. The facts and truths about Biafra, which the Nigerian and British government respectively hid from decades, have all been exposed. The lies solemnly concocted by the British government through Frederick Lugard and his concubine Flora Shaw have all been unraveled by Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. Buhari is currently fighting so hard to prevent the world from knowing the truth about the unabated corruption by the Nigerian political leaders under his administration and their heinous crimes against humanity. Hitler Muhammadu Buhari wants the world to believe that he is fighting hard to stop the continuous massacre of Biafrans and other indigenous people in Nigeria by his kinsmen, the latest terrorist organization, the Fulani herdsmen, Janjaweed. Buhari does not want the world to know that he is a hardcore Fulani and the life patron of Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, an association the Janjaweed terror group is affiliated to. Buhari's position as the patron crowns him a grand commander of the Janjaweed terror organization. The aim of this dreaded Janjaweed terror organization is the absolute extermination of Biafrans and domination of Biafra land and other parts of Nigeria. Muhammadu Buhari wants the world to believe that he is fighting corruption, but the truth is that he is fighting his political opponents and any group or individuals who speak the truth against his tyrannical government. Buhari wants the world to also believe that he is a Democrat that believes in the rule of law. However, everything about him still points of the same dictator that once toppled a democratic elected government of Shehu Shagari in 1983. Buhari, the felon, has forgotten that this era is not 1983-1985, when he committed treason. This is not an era where he violated human rights at will, committed all sorts of atrocities, and killed any opposition that has a divergent opinion to his wills and desires and go scot-free. This tyrant does not want the world to know that he is violating the human rights of citizens intimidating and dictating for the judiciary using the DSS, Army, Police, Navy, and other law enforcement agents to molest, abduct, arrest, and unlawfully detaining citizens, especially peaceful Biafrans. Buhari does not want the world to know that he is Islamizing the contraption called Nigeria. The well-orchestrated plan for the Islamization in the use of his force, the Fulani herdsmen, as the advanced forces, and they are on a jihad mission in Biafra land and Nigeria. His mission is to foremost exterminate Christians and officially declare Biafra land a captured territory and usher in Sharia. After this, the controversial grazing bill will then be introduced to perfect the promise that Buhari made on August 27, 2001, when he said such words: "I will continue to show openly and inside me the total commitment to the Sharia movement that is sweeping all over Nigeria. God willing, we will not stop the agitation for the total implementation of the Sharia in our country. It is a legal responsibility which God has given us within the context of one Nigeria to continue to uphold on the practice of Sharia wholeheartedly." Hitler Muhammadu Buhari is known for his hatred for Biafrans that are predominantly Christians. This is why he's traveling all over the world sources for arms to wipe out Biafrans in the pretense of fighting Boko Haram. As a matter of fact, he's using everything within his arsenal, including Boko Haram, his kinsmen, the Fulani herdsmen Janjaweed, and media blockade to ensure that Biafrans are wiped out from the surface of the earth. Buhari must surely detesting the word Biafra. That was what he meant when he said, "The Igbos hate me for what I did to them during the Biafran War. I don't have any regret and as such do not owe any apology to them. In fact, if there is a repeat of the civil war again, I will kill more Igbos to save one Nigeria." Buhari and his cohorts may have succeeded in using air, land, sea, and media blockade to fight Biafrans during the war between the 1967 and 1970s. Nevertheless, they will not succeed again this time. Biafrans are wiser and will stop at nothing to ensure that Biafra is restored. Irrespective of the fact that Biafrans' news are regularly being filtered and blockaded, hardcore Biafrans are not leaving any stone unturned to ensuring that Biafrans' voices are heard everywhere in the world. Lobbying and intimidating media houses working against the restoration of Biafra will be fruitless as always. Silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. For silence is the real crime against humanity. The total silence of the world supports the Republic of Nigeria on the outbreak of imminent civil war, which will surely begin after what can only be described with the appropriate term: a mass genocide of the Biafran population, similar to the massacre perpetrated in 1967-1970, already known as the Biafran War, which saw the killing of more than 3.5 million Biafrans. While Hitler, in his Jewish Matter, characterized the effect of the Jewish presence in Germany as a race infesting his people, the Germans, the Nigerian government, likewise Hitler, has mocked the ongoing massacre against the people of Biafra. Buhari considers the Biafran race in the same way the Nazi Germany regarded the Jews, the parasites. Nigerians considers Biafrans as a threat. Even their president, Muhammadu Buhari, recently vowed that he will never allow the Biafran threat to exist neither inside or outside of his country. And he said that the Biafrans will be annihilated in those houses which they built. At the moment, one of the Biafran city almost seized and attacked by the genocidal terrorist force of Buhari, the Hausa Fulani herdsmen Janjaweed, is Enugu, the capital of Biafra, of which more than 1,000 were killed and more than 1 million inhabitants are in danger of death because of the long invasions of these ruthless terrorists. Buhari should be careful of the threat of an imminent civil war, of which he can never win. He better remove the troops of Fulani terrorists and soldiers who illegally invaded the territory of Biafra, which is leading this already dramatic situation and snowballing into a boiling point. Many experts are following the ongoing genocide against Biafrans and are expecting Nigeria to be completely swallowed up by the impending civil war for all the atrocities committed. By the way, the world should remember that there were only 22.85 million in 2013, and the refugees flooded the whole of Europe, and that Nigeria has a population of over 200 million black people. In the case of another civil war, black refugees will overrun the entire planet. Thanks for joining BTV News Hour. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.